It's the Man Cave Club.
Welcome to another episode of the Man Cave Club. Today I'm super excited. We have a brand with us. We got Nic here from WIES MADE Clothing. So yeah, man, we're here to talk to Nic about his brand, the inception, and some awesome pieces that he brought today. Nic, welcome here to the Man Cave Club, man.
Glad to be here.
And so you are here representing your brand, WIES MADE Clothing. And I really love it, man. I'm decked out in this stuff all the time. I really love what you do, man. So if you could, please tell me a little bit about maybe your background in the industry.
Sure.
A little bit about what drove you to create WIES MADE, and then what WIES MADE's about.
I actually grew up here, San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay.
I spent 20 years working for big and small. I worked for the Gap. I worked for Nike for a number of years.
Cool.
Went back to some small little independent brands because I miss denim and high quality casual wear. And in my last job, I got to spend some time in the design room and just fell in love with. I think anyone that's passionate about any product, doesn't matter what it is, you start developing a really strong point of view about, God, if we could just do it this way, why don't they do this? Or cut them a little longer, a little shorter, or put a gusset here, or whatever. And kind of having an opportunity to test some of that stuff and to find out I was wrong most of the time. But still to go through that process of learning
trial and error.
And development is incredibly difficult, but really rewarding when you see something done, a piece that you've had in your mind maybe for 10 years. So I fell in love with it. The early days of the pandemic, I had an opportunity to start this business, self-funded. I pretty much took my life savings and started working with a couple mills here in the U.S. And my initial thing was I knew there was going to be high quality denim. I've been a denim head many years, and selvage has been something that is important to me. But also just heavy, high quality domestic production. The textile industry here in the U.S. is like on life support.
Yeah.
I think if you really care about quality and sustainability, it should be an option. There should be some brands that source the way we do. So as I kind of went through the process of iterating how we're going to source fiber, how we're going to source fabrics, that neurotic, detail, crazy, like, no, it can't be 12 ounces. It needs to be 14 ounces for this French terry.
Yeah.
And I just got lucky enough through my years in the industry to go talk to some of these places where we were going to be making our fabrics. And I spent 2 years before we even made our first garment working on this fabric, the denim you're wearing there, with Mount Vernon Mills. And I found out about what Vidalia is doing on selvage, so that was a no. My poor wife, I came running into the house. I was like, they saved all the cone mill machines. They still have the drapers down in Louisiana, man. And my wife's like, whatever, dude, you're nuts. So I had a friend of a friend who was working over there, so we connected right away and started cutting some samples at that point in this fabric, their first run. So the goal was could I find the yarn, the fiber domestically. Then could we weave and knit it to my standard? And what I'm passionate about are heavier fabrics that are more structured. It's hard to find in the industry. Almost 2 years into developing that fabric, and it just getting that yarn count right. So it's like we were talking yesterday about a high thread count sheet. Well, it's not that different with jeans. How much yarn can you squeeze in there? What's the right tension? And then you get into rope dye and indigo, and there's just so many variables. So we tested it for durability, wearability, quality. And after about 2 years, I felt really confident that we had a really good jersey knit for a t-shirt, really good French terry for sweatshirts and that shawl collar, really great basic denim that was kind of like going to be our everyday workhorse jean. And then Vidalia, we had access to some really great selvage. So that's pretty much the launch of our line is those fabrics we developed. So it's a 14-ounce French terry.
14-ounce French terry.
Super tight, highly structured. 14-ounce broken twill. That's our core fabric that you're wearing. And then this is also a 14. I like 14 ounces.
Yeah,
This is
seems like
just
it.
the right weight.
Is a good
We're
weight.
playing around with maybe a 16 ounce on a broken 12 selvage that we may try and get worked out for next season.
I think that 14 ounce, at least for here in where we're at, Northern California, it's like perfect year rounder.
Yeah,
it's totally fine. I mean, it was 80 yesterday, but it's like 50 something this morning, and it's across the board. It works, right? And I think that's really what I appreciate, man, about your brand. And I know you're kind of still in the young phase, and your catalog's not like huge. But for me, it has everything. It has the essentials. It has an everyday pant, everyday shirt, everyday sweater, everyday jacket. It's got it all. And like, I mean, really, if you were really trying to have like a dedicated small wardrobe, like you really don't have to look much further. It really shows that you've taken your time to develop the pieces and the patterns and the fit. Well, you didn't just rush into, okay, we got to hit 50 different things because people want options, and that means nothing if the stuff's not good, if the stuff's not thought out. The Artcher Jacket is so killer, man. Like all the details, the double elbows, man, the shoulder gusset, that kind of faux game pouch in the back, the contrast holes for the buttons.
This is the tobacco thread we use on all our jeans.
Yep.
So you'll see it
on the cardigan too. So Nick, I love that you bring up the thread color on the buttonholes on the Archer Jacket, and I would love to maybe do a little bit of a deep dive into the Archer. I feel like it's really one of your signature standout pieces for me, at least. I don't know if that's personal bias, but I think it's really well thought out, and I think it fills some gaps in the market that other people are not quite hitting. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. I love this jacket. I had it in my mind for years. I love truckers. I love denim jackets, but I really had a tough time with two areas on most truckers that I've had over the years. One, I just, and I'm dad bod, but like I just, I do have broad shoulders. I couldn't drive a car, if it fit right. Like I couldn't get my arm forward. So, lots of brands do gussets, but the idea here was, I don't like that cape look where that gusset comes all the way down. So this was a detail from an old hunting jacket. We were talking about this yesterday.
Pouch,
And so the idea was to take that gusset, terminate it mid-low back, and what that will do, if you tailor it properly, is it'll give you a nice flattering fit, and it shapes your body really well. So it looks good, obviously, which is important, but also functions well. And you have just enough room with that gusset to be able to move your arm, which is important.
Totally.
Rest of the adjustment here, these details are pretty standard. We went with, we do this on a lot of our collars. Instead of doing a one-piece collar, we use a collar riser and then a collar, and that just gets it to lay a little bit nicer. It's quite a bit more sewing and cutting, but I think that's important. And then it gives us this cool neck latch
the
closure.
height for the,
Yeah, and Paul and I were talking about that yesterday with the motorcycles I used to ride, and having something functional here to close it up actually has some utility. So that's why we kept the riser on here. And just the elbow pad, the classic elbow patch.
Yeah.
I remember when we first brought this pattern down to my sewing team, and they just looked at me and they were like, fucking crazy. There's so much sewing in this jacket. So, we've like doubled our collar sewing. We've tripled the back piece sewing. The elbow patch here is a ton of sewing. We do separate cuffs that are sewn on, and at the sweep as well. So this thing is a very sewing intensive piece, but I think it comes together to be, what I imagine to be kind of the perfect with jeans jacket, and that is you can wear it with a nice flattering fit. You can still move your arms. It's incredibly durable. This is a 12-ounce canvas, and also because it's not denim, it works with whether you're wearing, old beat up, washed out jeans, or if you're wearing raw, you're good to go with any of the colors that we run this in.
This is the women's jacket here.
That's the women's.
You're obviously wearing the men's. And my wife has this jacket. I bought her one, and what I really appreciate is it's a really flattering fit on her.
Yeah.
But she has narrow shoulders, and so those shoulder gussets, it's really nice on her, and and I know she likes it. She loves wearing it. It's super comfortable. Because a lot of times for her stuff, it's cut narrow to fit the shoulders, but then like you said, you can't reach.
You can't move.
It's just not comfortable. But she loves this jacket, and I really like
my wife.
really
I'll tell my
appreciate
wife. So she drove a lot of the design around this.
Cool.
We gave it a nice feminine shape in the body, and I think with these types of fabrics, it's rare that they'll cut them for women.
Yeah.
So it's definitely cut for a woman, and then we gave it a little bit of flare at the hip because we don't. A lot of these jackets for women are often cut like super cropped, which is just kills the utility and just looks funny half the time. So this is a really functional piece that's still flattering. And
Totally. Yeah, it's not just another trucker.
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, man. I get like
go.
all I have time. You shouldn't have given me the coffee. No, early days, I thought this is going to be a menswear brand. These are the pieces. And my wife begged me. She's like, women get so screwed on quality of fabric, on construction. There's no, please, it's like, there's no way women are going to wear like a rigid 12 or 14 ounce canvas jacket, babe. No way. Yeah. So we cut some samples and tailored the hell out of it. And like, we sell this as well to women as we do to men. I was totally surprised and excited, and we've got like this like fan club in our local boutiques of women that are just so grateful for like it's just back to basics, right? Classic heritage, high quality denim and knitwear for it's like when I go back to the old American samples that I have, the old vintage Levi's or old Filson or old workwear brands. I think people, they get a sense. I think the denim community gets it, no question. But
totally,
when you get outside the denim community, I think just like my friends and family that aren't crazy denim heads like me, they appreciate it and they love it. They just don't know they don't know what it is that they're missing. They don't know, but they pick it up and they feel the weight and they see the detail in the sewing. And maybe I'm too much of an optimist some days, but I think there's an opportunity to bring high quality, small batch production, at least in some measure, back to the U.S. And I hope,
man.
I hope we can be a part of that.
Yeah, you're definitely one of the guys that's doing it, and there's not many of them. It's certainly not for women. That's one of the things that when I started getting kind of into this hobby, my wife's like, "How much are you spending on that?" And then she has some pieces that were kind of similar price, and I'm showing her like, "Hey, this is why this costs this much money. Yours costs nowhere near that money to make, right? But you're spending the same." And then so I got her a few pieces, and she's like, "Wow, like I get it now, And I love my jeans. I have that same pair at home as well. It's the first pair I got from you. Yeah. And man, so I'm wearing the Sam fit in the River Wash, and you got the Jack fit in the Vidalia Mills selvage.
Raw selvage,
so, we can talk about either first, man. Let's talk about yours, man. Kind of that's the heritage niche. It's hitting this market, man. Selvage, USA, cut sewn.
So the story with Vidalia Mills, it's a great story. I don't think I'll do it justice, but the short version is they salvaged the last remaining 64 Draper selvage looms from Cone Mills when they shut it down.
Cool.
And they brought in their engineer and the mechanics for the machines, and I think they took over a shuttered Haynes factory in Louisiana.
Oh wow!
It was kind of like the pulse of that whole little town down there. And hired back a bunch of the workers, and
that's amazing.
They started spinning yarn, and I think it took them probably a year or so to get the machines up and going. And it's a beautiful story. It's wonderful to have like at least one selvage option still, and for it to be the authentic Draper, storied fabric. And so this is some of their first stuff. It's a 14 ounce. This is a right hand twill. It feels, looks, and is starchy and crunchy like some of the classic old Cone Mill stuff.
Yep.
And it's great. So I love those guys. I love what they're doing, and we will always run some stuff. We're working on a custom fabric with them. It may take some time to get to get where we want to get there with it, but it's coming.
Yeah, totally,
So-
man. The Jack fit, so that's for this like our heritage community, the brethren. It's gonna be that like wider leg opening
It's
kind
like
of.
60s vintage 501s.
Yeah.
Probably the best way I would describe it is you've got a little bit more on the leg opening. We're at 16 and a hair at size 33 for the leg opening. A little more generous in the seat and thigh, and then we pinch them in a little bit on the waist. I notice with a lot of my newer stuff, I don't like how the waist is just a little too opened up. So this fit, if you've got a little bit of meat in your seat and thigh, like Jack will fit you well.
Yeah.
So and then Sam is a little bit cleaner, a little straighter in the thigh, and then a little bit of a taper on it.
Yeah, which is what I'm wearing, and since I got these, it took me a minute because I've been on this like 5, 6, 7 years run. I've only bought selvage denim, and I saw these and I felt them in person here at one of the stores that carries your stuff.
Yeah.
And I got my wife a pair, and I was like, man, I think I need to try them on. I put them on, and I was like, man, pre-washed, non-selvage, like who am I right now? But
Sorry, Jimmy.
But no, it's okay. I'm a believer now, man, and I think it's not something people in this hobby should be afraid of. It's a little bit different, but it's so good, and it's still, you're supporting U.S. made, you're supporting the U.S. mill.
Farm milled and sewn.
Yeah, farm milled and sewn down in Southern California, and they're killer. You know, a quality t-shirt like this is not something I knew existed a while ago. I was wearing kind of just the direct-to-consumer, the things you see like, advertised on Instagram, the t-shirt companies, and then I got my first like heavy t-shirt and was like mind blown.
Yeah.
And your stuff is right up there with everyone else's, man.
A similar process we took to developing our denim. We developed both this jersey knit, so that's the Henley that you're wearing. I got wearing mine
Yours on
too.
too, yeah. There you go.
And our French terry, and it's a similar philosophy: high quality domestic cotton. We do, some brands do open end, which kind of gives you that kind of drier, crunchier, meaty vibe, and then the ring spun yarns tend to be a little bit more durable and a little softer. So we went that direction. I love ring spun yarn because it holds up and fades really nicely.
They wash fine, totally.
But anyway, so ring spun yarn, and we my poor knit mill, same thing. We set really high tension and shoved a lot of yarn in really tight, and what that gives you is a really durable fabric. It has a really nice structure to it, which tends to be flattering. Takes a minute to get used to, but it's so dense it'll form to your body. And they tend to run a little bit long and a little bit trim, which tends to be a little more flattering if you can get used to it. We've had a few guys size up on it, but once you kind of get it dialed in on the fit, they tend to be really flattering, super durable, long-lasting t-shirts. And I'm really neurotic. I think when we first started, I was like, if I only could wear one setup every day for the rest of my life, it would be, our denim and, a really great t-shirt that, and 8 ounces is, I think, that right weight where you can layer it. It's not too heavy to layer up, but it's heavy, and you really can't get much more durability. You can go up, but you're not really adding to durability at that point. So with our Stinson, so that's a pullover in basalt, and then this is the olive. Really tightly knit diagonal French terry, and you get this just beautiful diagonal pattern. It's same thing, high-end ring spun cotton, big fat yarns shoved in really tightly, so you get a really dense structured fabric that on the facing you start to see some of that texture in the lighting from the diagonal. And it's just a great basic pullover sweatshirt that you don't have to be careful with. You can wear the hell out of it. It'll hold up over time. And
because it's so dense too, man, they're incredibly warm. I have the crew neck and I have this shawl cardigan too, the two pieces that I own. And I'll tell you, it's not cold enough here in the afternoons to wear these all day.
Yeah, another month it will be, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, it's just man, I'm sweating. I put it on, and it's really good. perfect, and then but in those kind of, at least here, like those kind of mid to late fall months, like it's the only thing you need. It's a piece you put on and you don't take it off till you get home and you're about to get in bed. Like it's an all day wear. It's rad, man. I really love what you're doing. I love this hat too. You got your denim hat.
That's the Vidalia Mills. That's for their first run selvage. We were talking, Paul and I were talking about this yesterday, about that selvage ID to get that to fold and stitch down properly for
and be centered
today and be centered. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be. The hat
so
took
cool,
a little bit of doing on the engineering
I
side.
love that it's plain, but I love the little WM side shot there. It's a cool hat, man. It has, it's got enough structure, but it's not like super duper structured. And it's comfy hat, man.
Cool. Thank you.
Love everything, man. One of the details I loved, not to jump back too far back, but the cuffs on the Archer, like they don't get caught on a watch. Like there's so many little details, man, that just wearability that I think everyone who's into this type of clothing, you put it on, like it just makes sense. It's not like nothing I've put on from you has been like, oh, I really need to break this thing in. Like, because it's so well patterned, it's so comfortable, it feels broken in, and then it's only going to get better once it actually does break in. There's
a lot of neurotic obsession over just trying maybe too hard sometimes to just get it right. And, we're, it's fun to be out there and to hear literally, people that are paying for our product, that feedback means so much. And, we're learning. So as we're developing, we were talking yesterday about the vest that we're working on. It's fun to kind of like integrate what we think we're doing right, where we have opportunity to learn, and then just listen to my customer. They're telling me on this Artcher jacket, they're like, dude, just do that, but I need a lined one with like, it's like, all right, well,
maybe a zipper or maybe a double zip.
I hear the double zip. So we're working with American Woolen on a really cool. We could talk about that on the next one, but
cool. That's exciting. So some exclusives here, some American wool, and then a vest coming down the pipeline, man.
This canvas is everyone loves it. It's bulletproof, and I think it would be cool to have a really nice high-end liner. So we're working with American Woolen on a wool cashmere blend.
Oh man,
to go under this canvas, so it's like hard on the outside, soft on the inside.
That's exciting stuff, man.
Done with like the best fiber we could possibly get. So
cool. Well, a few months down the line, we'll have to do this again. And take a look at those new pieces. Maybe we can premiere them here first. We'll see.
Sure. Well, you guys are local, so that would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Well, Nic, man, it's been so great talking to you. And where can the people find you, man? What's your site and your Instagram?
Yeah, I forgot about all that.
We'll do it.
Thank you. So we're at WIES MADE on Instagram, WIESMADE. Same for our website, wiesmade.com, WIESMADE.com, and I'm just grateful to you guys as a small brand with no marketing budget to have interest in what we're doing means a lot to us. So thank you.
Yeah, dude, no problem, Nic.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, man. So thanks guys for watching this episode of the Man Cave Club. We'll catch you next time on the MCC.
It's the Man Cave Club.